Reggie here, your fellow neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector. And I want to welcome you to another one of my impromptu live streams. Just a short while ago, I received a notification that the Batwoman official teaser was released. And I popped in and I looked at this thing and I was officially teased. I was officially teased by this teaser that has now been viewed by like 1 million people already. And I was inspired after I was teased. I was inspired to come on here and chat with you guys just a little bit about it. If you haven't seen it, we're actually going to look at this thing live. We're going to look at it together if you haven't seen it, because I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. So we have a bunch of people flowing in here. Gorilla God is here. I love Sign Comics. How you doing, man? I haven't seen you in a while, brother. I hope you are well. I hope you're well. Chris is here. Comic crypto stock is here. Sully Two Kings is in the house. How you doing? Jay Comrade is here. Rye Fella is in the house. Unruly Simeon, brother. I saw your post earlier today on the video that I released earlier. Thank you very much for dropping that comment. And yeah, comic crypto stock. Hopefully I'm not wearing out my welcome, man. You know, I felt stunted. I felt stunted today. I had all of this construction, this heavy equipment outside the door, and it was a racket all day today, you know. And I edited one video, shot one video, and I just felt like I didn't get much done today. I didn't get much done because there was just a lot of noise. And I shot a lot of footage of guys out there working on working on the road, but I felt stunted creatively today, and maybe that's why I'm doing the 2 live streams today. And it looks like my Comcast is holding up. My wife basically said that Comcast decided to get itself together because it recognized that it was going to be replaced by the fiber optic that's going in up the street here. So maybe that bodes well for our ability to actually do live streams together. Webhead is in the house. How you doing, brother? Chris says, nah, you're good. I appreciate that, brother. You know, you never want to wear out your welcome. You know, you never want to wear out that. So, but I'm glad that you guys are able to join me because I feel like, you know, I want to talk. When I'm in a talkative mood, I want to talk. What is this? So Tony's hobby channel says, I was just thinking a while back that they needed to make a Batwoman movie. You might not get a movie, brother, but it looks like you might actually get a TV show. So let's do this. Let me see if I can share my screen so I can actually show you guys this. And I want to try to play it for you. I've never tried to play audio on a YouTube channel. So I'm not sure if this is going to work, but we're going to try it. We're going to see whether we can do this thing. We're going to experience a first together, and fingers crossed that it actually works for us. So for those that haven't seen the official Batwoman trailer, we are going to try to look at this thing together and then talk briefly after about our thoughts. Mm, mm. Oh boy. Oh boy, let's watch that again. Oh boy. Little bat signal action. Gotham at night. Mm. I am teased now. Oh man, let's stop that share. Come back here live. I think that was pretty slick. I don't know about you guys, but I thought that was pretty slick. Who is this? A couple of people popping in here. I love comics says looks interesting. Comic Head 84 says Ruby Red looks good in the suit. Captain Comic says saw there was a Batman Hush trailer too. Really? Oh man, I'm gonna have to check that one out. Cameron D says the suit looks great. Um, I'm really Samian making comments about how Batwoman has outcaped Spawn. Right, that's true because Spawn has the most cape ever. You know. Cameron D says she looks stunning in the suit. Comic crypto stock, bro. I, I I went back. I watched the thing probably 4 times, and I was like, "That's it." Then I realized it was a teaser. It was a teaser and not a trailer because that thing was super short. I wanted to see more. I was like, "Where is the dialogue? Where is the action?" It was nothing more than a glance. That's essentially what it was a glance, and it's a teaser, a titillating teaser is really what that is. Joa, how you doing, my friend? Ben is in the house. How you doing? Rush Diehard says, Reggie, is this your 8th video today, bro? It is. It is like my. I'm not even gonna tell you what number video I'm on. It's pretty. It's pretty high. Comic Head 84 says, would have liked to see her skin pale. Yeah, in the comics. Yeah. She looks great. A couple of comments. I love comics says has a dark vibe. Let's hope it holds that feel. The trailer looks good. Says comic book collection. Cody, how you doing, my man? The thing is that I was expecting when I first saw it pop up, I thought it said trailer, and I was expecting something a little more involved. And then I realized that it was actually just a teaser. And I think that it did that, right? I think this thing was pretty well done, right? Because I don't know if your average person that might watch that even knows that there is a Batwoman, right? They know Batman. And so what I think that teaser kind of did was it kind of teased almost a Batman kind of thing by showing the bat symbol, which everybody knows, right? Long live the bat. And then all of a sudden you saw the splash of red. You're like, whoa, Batman doesn't have red. Then boom, turns around and it's a woman with red hair. I mean, it is really, really well done. It captures your attention, it draws you in, and it leaves you wondering it leaves you wondering who is that, and what does coming soon actually mean? Because that thing didn't give you a date, it didn't give you a month. It is just like a red-headed woman dressed up like Batman, and is like, stay tuned. That's basically, and it leaves you wanting more. And I think it was really, really well done. Joe says Reggie's addicted to making live videos. Bro, I like live videos. I really do. I enjoy mixing it up with you guys. I don't get this when I record videos late night, because I normally record pretty darn late at night. You don't get the interaction. You don't get the ability to kind of play off people when you do that kind of stuff. So who is a couple making comments here? Missed the stream earlier at work. Yeah, the one earlier today was actually pretty good. So you definitely want to go back and check that one out. And he says needs more cape. I don't know, man, if she needs more cape. She has a lot of cape. But here's the thing. Is I think CW is doing some really cool stuff with all of these various series that they are doing featuring DC stuff. I mean, they have the Flash, which I enjoy. It's a little quirky, a little offbeat sometimes, especially the main actor. But I definitely enjoy that. I think they have Supergirl, which I really got into for a little while. They have the Black Lightning, which I really enjoyed. And then they also had the Arrow. And I really, really dig the Arrow. I think I watched all 6 seasons maybe of the Arrow. I really got into that. And I'm not a DC fan by and large, as you guys know. Never read a Flash book. Never read a Green Arrow or Supergirl. Had some Black Lightning, but I never read any of these books. And the TV shows, I think, are a nice segue for people, right? It's a nice entry point. And honestly, as a non-DC guy, I really enjoy the TV shows. I think that they're fantastic. And the way that they do the crossovers between them, the Flash and the Green Arrow, I think is really well done. I don't know that I've seen much crossover to Supergirl, but I definitely saw it with the Flash and the Green Arrow, and I definitely dug that stuff. I haven't seen it with Black Lightning, but I've only seen like season 1 and part of season 2, I want to say. But I think CW is doing some really, really cool stuff, and fingers crossed that this Batwoman series is good. A couple of people saying it looked dark, and hopefully it stays in that genre or that vein. It's going to be very, very interesting to see. Clay says the red hair is too much for a serious live action. Maybe if this one came out in the early 90s with a more comic book style, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out, because again, it's just a trailer, it's just a teaser. We don't really know, because you could almost say that even like Green Arrow's original mask, like in the early seasons, was a little hokey, and then it was more refined a little bit later. Who knows what they're actually going to do with it over time, or whether the final product will be exactly what we saw in the teaser. So it's going to be interesting. My fingers are crossed that they will actually be able to make some magic happen. James says, if they could do this with movies, they might be able to compete with Marvel. Well said, well said. I think that's a really good point. Is that and I haven't seen many of the DC movies. I've seen a couple of them, but I think what James is kind of pointing out here is that the TV shows are really pretty well done. I think, right? They have the nice crossovers and stuff like that, where it actually makes sense for them to kind of team up and stuff like that. But they have decided, I think, for their movies to kind of continue producing standalone movies versus to have, that continuity that you see with the Marvel movies. So that may change, however, as Warner Brothers wraps its hands around the DC property even more. That some of that stuff may change. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. The comic book villain says Ruby Rose, Batwoman. Who? Yeah, man, it's definitely a cool show. It appears to be a cool show. Are you guys saying that Swamp Thing is going to be coming out? Is that what I'm reading? Hope we can get some of the other Bat family members, and it probably won't show up in the movie. It'll be interesting. Bat might. It'll be interesting to see how all this stuff kind of plays out. I think that this is really a golden age in many ways for us as comic book collectors. If you were back in the day and you saw some of the early stuff that they tried to do with comic properties, whether you're talking about some of the stuff with Spider-Man, some of the stuff with FF, some of the stuff with Incredible Hulk, and the times it was okay, but you always felt that they could do more, right? And this is really a golden age for us. The ability to actually have so much comic book related content on TV, on streaming services, and movies. It really is a fantastic time for us as comic book lovers, as comic book collectors. It is such a glorious time, And I mean, even somebody like me, I love Marvel. I grew up reading comics, but I'm also like being exposed to characters that I never really was into before. Like I'm tempted to read like the Green Arrow and tempted to read the Flash. And I mean, I think that that's actually really, really cool. And my hope is that all of this swirl that is happening, positive swirl that is happening around comic book characters and in the original content actually draws more people into the hobby. That's my hope, is that people are not only entertained for 30 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever, however long a show is, but my hope is that it also draws them into the hobby a little more, because we are a small community. We are a small community. And not that I want it to be mainstream. That's not what I'm necessarily saying, but I'm saying that this is a wonderful hobby. And I want more people to be able to share in this hobby, and that's kind of where I'm coming from. A couple of people saying here, Swamp Thing trailer looks dope. I got to go see that one because I have not seen that. I want to check that out. Webhead says they did a good job with Shazam. They did a good job with Shazam. From everything that I've heard and the amount of money that I made, I think that's definitely a good thing. And then I hear that Shazam 2 is definitely a go. I watch The Rock, and he basically said that originally that they were trying to tell the Black Adam story and the Shazam story in the exact same movie, and they realized that it was too much to cram into a single movie, and that's why they actually split it out into two movies. So fingers crossed that because of the success of Shazam 1, that it'll give room for them to be able to do the Black Adam story. And it sounds like they will. It sounds like they're headed down that path again because of all of the great feedback and sales that have been related to Shazam. Unruly Simeon says, amen. It is a golden age for superheroes on screen. Completely agree. There's a lot of people saying that there's superhero fatigue. And I disagree with that. I don't know that there is superhero fatigue out there. And if you look at the success of what happened with Avengers Endgame, right? That movie's bananas. There's no fatigue. There's no fatigue. There might be fatigue in movies in general. And I think a lot of people have been talking about the lagging sales and all that other kind of stuff. But I think what Avengers Endgame demonstrated, and to some extent Captain Marvel, and to an extent Black Panther, I think what those movies demonstrated is that if you make good content, people will show up to watch it, and people vote with their dollars. And so if you see sales slipping, maybe you have to look at the content that you are putting out to see why that might be the case. So thank you, Tina. Tina says, "Well said." To one, I think it was to one of my other comments there. Reggie, did you ever watch the Titans TV series? Is it the Titans? There was one that I was watching that had like Hawkman and Hawk Girl or Hawk Woman. Who else was in that show? I can't remember who all the characters were, and I don't know if that was Titans or Legends. That was Legends. That was a little hokey. It was a little hokey. But I did watch several episodes of that show. But I don't think that I've ever watched Titans. I've never done that on the DC Universe app. No, I have not seen that. Love The Rock, hate the Black Adam, will have a solo rather than just being a Shazam vehicle. Hope DC doesn't go overboard with the villain thing. Joker is unnecessary. Oof, the Joker. A lot of people really like that Joker. I did not dig that. I don't dig that actor. And I hope the movie does well. Let me first say that. But I don't dig that actor. And I think what they're almost trying to do is to make the Joker much more human and make him more of a counterpart to Batman, right? Because Batman doesn't have any superpowers. He is basically a person that has gadgets, that has resources, that has decided to fight crime. And I guess what they're trying to do is to juxtapose that to the Joker, who is also, like Batman, a person that has been shaped by his environment. Because I know back in the day, he fell into a vat of chemicals and all that kind of stuff. And I guess that unraveled him. But I think what they're trying to do now is basically say he is a person that, like Batman, has been shaped by his environment. And his environment has basically turned him into a psychotic, crazy lunatic. And I think that that's how they're trying to position those two characters. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. It could be worse. Let us never forget Batman and Robin. Scrolling through the comments here, Gil says, Avengers Endgame, never heard of it. What happened to Batman getting the soul gem? All of my tank tops, I want to say are, I think they're extra large. Honestly, I can't even remember. I think they're extra large. I think everything I wear is extra large. Sully2 King says he thinks that Marvel has set the bar very high with the first 10 years. I hope that they can keep it up. So do I. I was watching a video earlier today with the two Russo brothers, and I have to go back and finish it, but they were having a really good dialogue about the last 10 years and about, what Marvel has done. And I think that if the Russo brothers do decide to come back, because there's no guarantee that they're absolutely going to come back. If they come back, I think that will help. If Marvel is able to keep the same editor, because I think that there is one editor, I think his name is David. David has actually worked on the Avengers Endgame movie. I think he worked on all the Russo brothers movies. And then he also worked on a couple of the others. I think that editorial eye, that editorial control is also part of the reason why there is such a familiar feeling to the various movies and why they tie together quite nicely. So of course there's Feige and all the others. But I think if they're able to keep bringing back the core people while bringing in new talent, new directors and stuff like that, I think that they should be able to continue it. I mean, you have 80 years, man, 80 years of history, and like what they have done over the last 10 years and 22 movies is really unprecedented. It really is unprecedented, because prior to this, there was this notion that, production houses would put out one good movie followed by a bad movie followed by a good movie. Essentially what Marvel has done is disproven all that. Every movie is killer, multiple movies making $1 billion. It is bananas what they've done. So fingers crossed, man, that they can continue to make things happen. You guys are hilarious. But yeah, so fingers crossed that Marvel can continue to do it, man, because they are definitely killing it. Ruli Simmons says, and if the general public gets superhero fatigue, there's all kinds of good indie comics. Agree with that. And I think, if you look at like, if you like look at the 90s for me were a lot of horror and sci-fi. That's how I kind of sort of remember the 90s. And I think you had a lot of really good movies and you had a lot of really bad movies as well. So I think again, if people continue to pull out really, really solid movies, I think people will continue to come out because so many of these stories are unique and different stories that people haven't heard of before. I mean, look at how many Jason and Freddy Krueger movies can you do? When it's like, okay, it's the same guy and he's killing a different person, but he's the same guy. And you do aliens, and aliens is basically the same alien by and large, and they're just killing a different person. With this, you're seeing different characters with different powers, different backstories, and they're doing different stuff. It's all new. So fingers crossed, man, that they can keep it going. But I think to your point, if there is fatigue, there is a lot of independent stuff out there that is not superhero related, but is still derived from comics. So, and I think there's actually a lot more movies out there that I didn't even know. Like, what was it? The Road to Perdition. I think that was one movie that was actually derived from a comic. And there was like a whole list of them, and I didn't even know that those were derived from comics. So I think you raise a very, very good point. Um, Jake says, I disagree. I do think that there is fatigue, kind of like how Westerns used to you lose their meaning. So many of these movies constantly coming out. However, I struggle with that, bro. I mean, how many billions of dollars did Avengers Endgame make? You can't make that kind of money if there's fatigue, right? I mean, I drove past a couple of theaters today that are still showing Avengers Endgame. So I don't know if the Westerns went out of popularity because people stopped watching them. You have people that are buying tickets 2 to 3 weeks in advance for a movie. That's not fatigue. That's not fatigue. Other comics, not necessarily superhero, good option. There you go, like Bitterroot and Prodigy from Image Comics. There's James saying that. And I think that's one of the great things about comics is that it's not all superheroes, right? I think that's a really, really excellent point. Batwoman is going to be awesome. 52, number 11, Ruby Rose is going to kill it. Fingers crossed. Unruly Simeon agrees with James's point that he's making there. Scrolling through, I want Batman, but it would be interesting to see Batwoman. Yeah, it's going to be interesting because you wonder where they're going to draw the line between TV and movies. And it's almost like if you're bringing out a Batwoman TV show, does that mean that you won't see another Batman movie in the near future, or might you get a Batman? It's just you don't really know. Like I'm a big fan of. I would love to know what the long-term plan is. Like, just tell me what the plan is. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting again to kind of see how all of this stuff plays out. Um, Abandonment. Jake agrees with Regie. I think I'm reading these right. Sony, it's going its own way. Agree with that. Someone saw Endgame at the IMAX, says Clay, and it's what, three weeks after or something like that. He's just going to see it. James is saying he can't wait for the cosmic aspect of the MCU. Neither can I, my friend. I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm laughing at Clay's comment. He made a very funny comment that I can't repeat, but it is a funny one. Here, Friendly Neighborhood Luke says, I feel no superhero fatigue, just physical fatigue from trying to stay up to date with all the comics, TV shows, and movies. But that is not a bad thing. I would have to agree with that, right? You had to have some intestinal fortitude to sit through a 3-hour movie called Avengers Endgame. But a lot of people said it didn't seem like 3 hours. Yeah, you have to have a little fatigue because there is so much between the streaming service, the TV shows, and the movies. There is a lot of content out there. But it's like the comics, man. You can't absorb all of it. You can't watch it all. There's only so many hours in a day to read and to watch these things. There's only so many dollars to go around. So, you have to pick and choose. IMJ is saying, hoping to get Quasar on screen, but terrified that Marvel would SJW him. Yeah, I think I've been digging into that a little bit because someone asked me to talk about SJW. I'm not sure if I'm ready to talk about that kind of stuff, but I'm actually digging into it a little bit to better understand some of that stuff and what people are thinking about. Comic Crypto Stock says he is pulling for Valiant. Comic Crypto, have they given any kind of update as of late? Because last I heard, Valiant had signed a 5-movie deal. They had only announced 2 of the 5 movies. So I'm curious whether they've announced anything else outside of that. Vince is saying movies and TV shows will overlap. Just a thought. Maybe they will. I think it was Kevin Feige that basically said, the TV shows are the TV shows and the movies are the movies. So I'm not certain that he sees the need to overlap, but DC could definitely have a separate take on that. And again, it could be Kevin Feige saying things and then, deciding to do something a little bit different later on down the line, just to kind of throw us off. Mark Tripp is in the house. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Comic Crypto Stock says, I think the feeding frenzy will start on Valiant Keys after Bloodshot is released. You could be right about that, brother. And that's why I was kind of asking that question, whether they had announced whether any of the other 5 movies or the other 3 movies have been decided upon. I actually tried to do the smart thing and actually went out and got some of the Valiant Keys already because I was a Valiant fan to some degree, like back in the 90s. And I was reading, Hard Corpse and Solar Man of the Atom and Exo Man of War and some of those other things, but I never picked up the keys. And I was lucky enough to be able to pick up some of the keys not that long ago. So it's going to be interesting to see if indeed there is a feeding frenzy. I think a lot will really depend upon how well Bloodshot actually does, because I think to some degree or another, both DC and Marvel have set a pretty high bar, I think, for what a superhero movie should be. When Robert Downey Jr. originally did Iron Man, I don't think that people knew what to expect. And I don't think that anyone could have anticipated what it has become over the last 10 years. But I think now there's almost like an expectation, where even the DC movies are, even though they're good, are still being compared to Marvel, not as good as. And then I think you have Valiant coming on the same third to the party, right? And now I think the bar is high. And the question becomes, how close do they get to that bar? Are they able to meet it? Are they able to exceed it? And I think that that's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out, Super cool. I'm sorry, Superhero Cool says, he says that Avengers Endgame seemed like an hour and a half to him. So I think that's a testament to how good that movie was. Who else tried to do an MCU movie before seeing Endgame? Was Jilly Jill is in the house. How you doing, my friend? I have not seen you in a while. It's good to see you. Yeah, Travis. So Travis is raising a really good point. He says, did we already talk about Disney owning a majority of Hulu now? We have. I've actually spoken about that. I want to say maybe 2 times, maybe 3. So for those that don't know, basically, Disney owns everything. That's not an exaggeration. Disney owns everything. So I believe that Disney already had a 30% stake, at least based upon my research, a 30% stake in Hulu. And then when they acquired Fox actually had a 30% stake in Hulu. So combined, Disney now owns a 60% stake in Hulu. And the question becomes, what are they going to do with that? You own 60% of a streaming service, and then you already also have your own streaming service. So it's going to be very interesting to see, what they decide to do with these 2 services, whether they allow content to be released on both, or whether they relegate certain content to one streaming service versus the other. It's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. But they own 60%, which is a significant amount of Hulu. And let's be honest, Hulu is not as good as Netflix. There's no way around that. Not as good as Netflix. Could the earthquake under the ocean be the mole man and not Namor? No. So Brandon asking a question whether the earthquake under the ocean in Africa or Wakanda could actually be Mole Man. Probably not. And I say that because there is a long history of battles between the Wakandans and the Atlanteans. And there was actually earthquakes that have occurred below Wakanda. So I think that's pretty well established that that's probably who it is. But it's the MCU, so you never know. But I have a feeling that it's probably Namor. It's probably just something that they're going to plug there with the hope that they can work out a deal for Namor at some point down the road. So we'll see how that plays out. Big Will is in the house. How you doing, brother? Lost Comic Junkie says rated R films will be on Hulu. Could be interesting. Could be interesting. He could be right about that. They own it. When did they buy all of Hulu? Lost Comic Junkie is saying that I'm guessing if I'm reading that correctly, that Disney now owns 100% of Hulu. I thought it was 60% still, but again, it's been like over a month since I looked at some of that stuff, and you know how Disney moves and likes to buy stuff with their cash. Oh, he says today they bought it. Wow, wow. Why do you need two streaming services? I mean, I guess when you have really deep pockets, you can just buy everything because you can, you know. I remember I owned Disney stock back in the day. Tony says it closed today. There you go. Wow. Have they announced any plans for what they plan to do with it? If you would, they would have to have said something, don't you think? Um, James Tomlinson is saying he would love to see Namor and the Panther go at it. Bro, it would be interesting. I've actually been buying up the Submariner #1. Anytime I can find it. I unfortunately had to return one the other day. I had a copy actually show up with a spine split, and the seller and I were unable to agree to any terms for how much he should refund me. So I ended up having to send the book back, which was very disappointing. It was an undisclosed spine split that was missed by the seller, and it's disappointing because I definitely wanted to keep that book. It's crazy. Someone says more servers. I the whole Wakanda versus Atlantean storyline, says Robert. Lost Junkie says yes. Disney wants two streaming services for the infrastructure. Is my guess. You could be right. Oh, that's why the almighty Liger was saying more servers. You could be right. You could be right. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Travis also agrees that Hulu could be for the more Disney stuff and the Disney streaming service will be for the more kid stuff. You could be right about that. I think that's a good way to go. It might be a good line of demarcation to draw between the two services so as to not confuse. That way you keep one very pure and one less than pure. That actually makes sense. Superhero Cool says I thought monopolies weren't allowed in the US. Technically it's not because there's still Amazon Prime. There's still Netflix, there's Hulu, there's the, now the Disney streaming service. So there's a couple out there. So scrolling through the comments here, Comcast will still owns a third of Hulu. So again, we've got a couple of conflicting things here. So Reginald, love the name, by the way. Some people are saying that that Disney actually completed its purchase of 100% of Hulu earlier today. So I had outdated information. I thought it was still 60%, and we're hearing that it's now potentially 100%. Oh, Travis with the jokes. Travis just said Regie streaming on Hulu. Yes, please. Yes, please sign me up for a streaming service on Hulu. I will do that channel all day long. Trust me. I hope Black Panther becomes one of the faces of the MCU. Thinks Black Panther 2 has a lot of potential. I would agree with that, with Black Panther 1 being such a beast. Black Panther 2 should definitely be very, very cool. So we shall see. Travis says you have my vote. I had somebody earlier, I had a couple of people make interesting comments. Someone said that Reggie needs a radio show, and that would be dope. Because I've actually been debating podcast. I just don't know if I want to go that route. I know nothing about podcast, and I don't know if I'll ever go that route. But that was one thing. And then someone else asked for a second permanent live stream that I do, because I do the one on Sunday, and someone else was asking for another dedicated weekly show that was a live stream. And I don't know if I'm ready to commit to that. I don't know if I'm ready for that one. Tony says Disney is taking over. No, bro. Disney has taken over. I used to live in Burbank, not too far from Disney. And I used to drive past the big gates that they have out there. I actually ran out of gas. I think I was like 25 or 26, and I was driving, and I was I call it riding dirty. I was riding dirty on E, and my car ran out of gas right by the Disney front gates. Yeah, that was embarrassing. I had to walk to the gas station in a suit and tie. It was not a good look. What is that grade? Hold on. I'll tell you 1 second. That is a someone IMJ was asking the grade of the Eternity. I'm sorry, the Eternals back there. It is a 9.4 signed by Marv Wolfman. I did not meet Marv. I actually picked the book up signed probably a year ago. I think that's when I really got on my Eternals, Celestials, Jack Kirby kick was about a year ago or so. So it's a 9.4. Scrolling through the comments here. Jake says he enjoyed Black Panther, but the third act was super painful. All right, so Disney is in it. Very good. Trivia night. A trivia night is Saturday. Trivia night is Saturday, I think at 1 o'clock. We are going to, I think it's 1 o'clock. We're going to get on there. We're going to churn and burn through trivia night. My boy has soccer. It's 4:15, so we're going to jump on. We're going to churn and burn. We're going to give away a bunch of books and stuff like that and keep it moving. Hopefully you guys were able to check out the preview video that dropped, I think, on Monday, and I actually showed you guys all the most of the books that are going to be given away. I'm going to do something different, and that I'm actually going to have some mystery books to kind of mix it up for you guys. And the mystery books could be nice books, or they could be not so nice books. That's why they are a mystery, but hopefully you guys can show up, and we'll be doing it during the day on Saturday, allowing people on the East Coast and stuff like that to actually participate versus like Sunday night when I normally do it when people are trying to get in bed so they can go to work. So we'll do it on Saturday, and hopefully we will have some good participation. At least that's my hope. So all right, so I'm scrolling through. Yeah, Lon is asking if I saw the King of the Golden State, James, trade for AF-15. I think he traded a 5.5 AF-15 down to a 3.5, and then he also picked up, I want to say that there were 5 other books in that trade. I know the Bunky brothers. Bob is the guy that I deal with over there at Bunky Brothers. I dig those guys, and so I think that was definitely a good move by the King of the Golden State to make those adjustments. I have not watched his video, so I may go back and watch that because I have not seen that yet. Scrolling through, Rye Fella. The prints are $25 shipped, and I think every single person that has ordered has confirmed receipt, and not one print has been damaged. So I'm very thankful for that every single one of the prints that we sent out, because we actually sent them first class mail, arrived very, very quickly, I think, and none of them were damaged. They are $25 shipped. So if you're interested, please let me know. I still have a fair number of prints left over. I've already started talking to Charlie about the second project, and I think he is actually excited about the second project. I have not pulled the trigger because I still need to sell the prints to be able to fund the second project. That's kind of, what I'm trying to do is to recycle the money versus pulling money from pocket. So yeah, if you're interested, be sure to let me know. Regie collects at Gmail. We can certainly talk about it. Scrolling through. It is not 1 a.m. Clay. It is 1 Pacific time. Everything is always in Pacific because I live in California. So it is 1 p.m. Pacific time. So hopefully you guys can actually make it out. Comic Tom 101 is in the house. How you doing, Comic Tom? It's good to see you, brother. Thank you for making out to the live stream here. Scrolling through the comments, seeing what else is. So Friendly Neighborhood Luke says, hey, Reggie, I forgot to tell you that he got the print in perfect condition. It is amazing and arrived super quick. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Shout out to the Patreon members that allowed me to use them as guinea pigs, because it took me a couple of days to find the right type and weight and strength cardboard, and then to find the right waterproof bag to put things in. So it took me like days of trial and error to find the right combination. And I was very hopeful that what I had put together was actually going to work and actually arrive safely for people. And then I was also this thing of, okay, so what's the fastest way to ship it without, paying $20, right, to actually ship the thing. So what was interesting is that we literally were at the max size for first class mail. And I honestly didn't know that when I put the packages together. I actually took them to the post office and I waited. to have them, confirm that the weight was good. And then she pulls out this thing and she puts it onto the package. And she was like, "You are just at the outer limits or the edge of what's appropriate for first class." So I was very pleased that we got lucky on that one. So so the dudes, what really captured my attention with Charlie is his Kirby-esque style. And that's why I selected Galactus and the Silver Surfer, because his style lent itself to Kirby. And I thought that would be a really, really great way to showcase his talents. And he was a big fan of like the old school Iron Man. So that's why we went with the old school Iron Man. And then there was a question of, okay, so what other character do we throw in there? I like Adam Warlock. And so I was like, well, let's throw an old school Adam Warlock in there. So I took a bunch of photos from the Adam Warlock books that I have here from the Jim Starlin era. And I sent those over, and he was able to work magic, pulling together those different looks. And I think that the piece turned out really, really well. I was very impressed. And everyone that's picked up one has seemed to really enjoy it. And Tina is also commenting here. So very pleased that people were able to actually support the channel and support this really talented guy named Charlie Bird. And so we have already started to talk about the second project. And the second project, I think, is going to be cool. I think it's going to be cool. We're going to do another print, another commission, another print. I think it's going to be a battle scene, full of action, full of some cool characters. And then we may also do a set of the prints will actually have remarks on them. At least that's the plan, is to do a remark. And what I'll probably do is to, of course, give Patreon members first shot at these if they want to pick one up. And then I may also give first shot to anyone that picked up a print from the first one, give them a shot at the second one to kind of, say thank you to those people that have continued to support the channel. So we'll see. Fingers crossed that we can continue to move these, because I think that they're really cool. And I tell you, I have a lot of ideas, a lot of things that I want to do. And we just have to kind of see how it all plays out. We love comics is in the house. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you as always, my friend. All right. All right. So I think I'm out of stuff. We talked about the Batwoman teaser that dropped earlier today. It's already been viewed by like a million people or so. I really do think that this teaser is slick. And I think that the show is also going to be the bomb. I'm actually looking forward to it. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know a thing. Not really. I don't really know a whole lot about Batwoman. But this teaser captured my attention. And I am actually looking forward to seeing this show drop. So hopefully they start to reveal some additional details about this thing soon, and like when it's going to start. Because I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out. But the wife and I now are watching Scandal. That is our new late night thing. So I'm going to head in here and watch a little Scandal with the wife. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me just a little bit. It is always a pleasure to hang out with you guys and to mix it up just a little bit. So I definitely appreciate you spending that time with me. If you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so at Regie Collects on Instagram, at regiecollects@gmail.com. And if you have yet to subscribe to the channel, make sure that you do so that you can stay abreast of all the content that I release on a weekly basis. And don't forget, this is what we're giving away this week. Make sure you check out the videos that dropped this week so you can get in on all the action from Regie Collects. Take care.